As you've seen in some of our videos before, we absolutely love the Downshift board and think it's a great tool for helping people address making changes to how they move their pressure throughout the golf swing. Unfortunately, a lot of people have taken a great tool and misused it a little bit, and we're going to take a look at some of the easiest ways to use the Downshift board, as well as some of the most common ways it's misused and how we can go about making sure that we're creating a safe and efficient pressure shift. So one of the biggest reasons that the Downshift board sometimes gets misused is because sometimes we confuse mass with pressure. So really quickly, we're going to identify the difference between the two. So if we think of my center of mass as being 1 inch behind where my belt buckle would be, kind of in the middle of my pelvis, and then I think about projecting that point onto the ground, it would be more or less right in between my feet because I'm stationary and not moving. Just like currently my pressure or weight is distributed evenly across my feet because I'm not moving. Therefore, the center of my pressure would also be right in the middle due to the fact that I'm stationary and not moving. Now, I can very quickly move the pressure back and forth without moving the center of the mass. Now, that is where this gets a little bit confusing for people because what we tend to see is that we get the center of mass moving a lot side to side, but we're not really getting the pressure shift to happen other than just leaning substantially left and right in a very frontal plane or linear motion. So we know the goal is not to move the center of mass side to side in a linear fashion like I'm showing now. And how are we going to go about moving the pressure if we're not allowed to move the mass? And that is where this gets tricky and why golf sometimes can feel very, very hard to do. So we're wanting to move the pressure to the right and put the right side of the board down. But what we don't want to do is move the center of mass towards the pressure. We want to keep the center of mass where it currently is, and we want to rotate the upper body around the lower body so that I'm able to stay nice, tall, and vertical with my spine and keep the pressure down on the right. So now when I want the board to go down on the left, instead of sliding left until the board goes down, now once again I want to hold my center of mass, and I'm going to put my pressure down on the left. And now I'm going to hold my mass back and twist, staying nice and tall and creating that big chest at the finish, versus having a lot of players who tend to go this way, and now their chest is very low, and they tend to find themselves falling off of the Downshift board. So one of the things that I love so much about being able to use this amazing tool is that we can scale it just like we would in a workout. So if you're one of those players that tends to get that center of mass moving back and forth across the midline quite a bit, what we can do is we can add some support and have a reference point for where our center of mass actually is. So we can get next to something that's stationary and we're going to push a little bit into this. And now we're going to put the board down on the right, staying pushed into the wall, keeping my center of mass here. And I'm going to work on rotating and pivoting while keeping my center of mass in place. Then I'm going to put the pressure down on the left and then also once again pivot to the left side, staying pressed into the wall. And now we can see that I'm not moving my center of my mass back and forth, rather keeping it stationary and moving the pressure instead. This is a great way to scale this exercise for new golfers who don't necessarily have the skill yet to understand how to connect the lower body and the upper body. So what happens when one of these amazing training aids has an even cooler owner? Well, he sends you a bunch of them and you get to play with more than one. And if you're fortunate like us and have more than one Downshift board, you can go for extra credit and really drive this home. So like we said, we don't want to make this linear side-to-side movement with our center of mass, rather want to create a shearing effect and a twist and a torque. So with using both Downshift boards, let's talk about this a little bit further. So if we're wanting to create a torque, then we're going to put the Downshift board on the front down to start and the heel down, and we're going to pivot into that. So I'm down into the right heel and the left ball, and then that's going to flip, and I'm going to go left heel, left ball as I finish. So you can see that we're working our feet opposite. So it's going to be ball, heel, and then we're going to flip that, heel, ball. Ball, heel, ball. And that's what we're trying to create. And when you do that, you can really feel your hips want to swivel and twist, and now we're just going to let the upper body swivel and twist on top of that. And now we have some structure and aren't necessarily moving so much side to side or in a linear fashion. So special thanks to the guys at Downshift Golf. We really appreciate this amazing tool that they make. And like other training aids, it's an amazing tool, assuming that we use it in the spirit that it was intended to be used in. So make sure that when you're doing this drill, that you're preventing your center of mass from moving back and forth. If you have any questions about that or need further help, please leave us a comment below and we'll reach out as soon as we can and try to offer our help. So make sure to subscribe, and until next time, keep grinding.